Bonjour les élèves, it's Madame Canning. Ça va bien? I hope so. Today I'm going to share with you a very cute story called Esprit in Paree by Catherine Stock. Ooh la la, my beloved Paris had better get ready because the animals on Monsieur Montmouton's farm are coming to visit the French capital city. I really hope that you get there one day too. What do you think pigs, sheep, goats, cows, chickens, and geese will do in Paris? Well, visit all the most famous sites, of course. So let's read it together and find out which ones. Merci, au revoir. Esprit in Paree by Catherine Stock. Monsieur Montmouton had a little farm with 11 very silly sheep, 5 curious geese, 3 greedy goats, 4 ruminating cows, a flock of fluttering pigeons, 2 enormous pigs, 9 noisy chickens, a rather pompous rooster, and 1 extremely hard-working dog. Every morning at dawn, Monsieur Montmouton let the chickens and geese out of their pen to scratch for grubs in the farmyard. Then he milked the cows and herded the sheep and goats through the village to the pastures to graze. Monsieur Montmouton cut and rolled up great bales of hay, weeded his vineyard, plowed his fields, and watered his vegetables. In the evening, he milked the cows again and gathered the hens' eggs. He had a very busy life. In the summer, people from Paris camped in his field by the river. The children brought their leftover baguettes for the chickens and geese. They fed the new lambs with bottles of milk and scratched the pigs' backs with sticks. The children helped Monsieur Montmouton pick his beans and tomatoes, and they dug for potatoes and onions. In the evening, the campers invited Monsieur Montmouton for a coffee and told him about life in Paris. The Parisians had a wonderful time in the country. At the end of August, the summer people loaded up their cars. "Come and visit us in Paris," they called as they drove off. Monsieur Montmouton waved his hanky at the last car as it disappeared down the lane. "I have always wanted to visit Paris," he sighed, stretching his tired back. "I could do with a holiday, but who would look after my animals?" When Monsieur Montmouton and his dog opened the barn early the next morning, all the animals were already squeezed into his old truck. Beep, beep! A pig pressed the horn impatiently. "So, you all want to go to Paris, do you?" Monsieur Montmouton laughed. He shrugged his shoulders, pulled his cap firmly down over his ears, and climbed behind the wheel. "Eh bien, let's go!" All the way to Paris, the animals fussed about where and how they would spend their day. When they arrived, Monsieur Montmouton circled the Arc de Triomphe and parked his truck under a shady tree on the Champs-Élysées. The sheep immediately jumped out and hurried off to the Rue du Faubourg Saint-Honoré to check out the latest fashions. The geese waddled down to the Seine and boarded a bateau-mouche. They sailed up and down the river and around Notre-Dame, craning their necks for a glimpse of the hunchback, but all they saw were a bunch of tourists. The goats roamed around the flower beds in the Luxembourg Gardens, sniffing and occasionally tasting the petunias. The cows spent the afternoon gazing at paintings of grazing cows in the Louvre Museum. The pigeons flew to the top of the Eiffel Tower to view Paris at sunset. Everyone else had to huff and puff up the 2,710 steps. The pigs invited their Parisian friends to a 3-star restaurant and ordered the finest wines with their 6-course dinner. Finally, later that night, the chickens ushered everyone to the Folie Bergère nightclub, where they cackled and screeched outrageously at the can-can dancers, much to the chagrin of the indignant rooster. Ooh la la! The animals had a wonderful time in the city. At daybreak, Monsieur Montmouton and his dog rounded up the animals and drove them all home. Never again, groaned Monsieur Montmouton as he staggered into his house and collapsed into his comfortable old armchair. These holidays are far too much work for me. But meanwhile, in the barn, the animals were already planning their next trip. I love that this book is dedicated to 2- and 4-legged neighbor friends everywhere. Merci beaucoup. Thank you so much for listening.